We interrupt your Diamondbacks broadcast to bring you some Arizona Cardinal podcast goodness. I'm Johnny Venerable. He is Bo Brack. This is your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast, the PHNX Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. A couple remote bros today as the Arizona Cardinals continue, Bo Brack, to lick their wounds following yesterday's disappointing 20-10 loss at Seattle. The team falls to 1-6. And like it or not, if you're Jonathan Gannon, everything turns to a certain franchise quarterback. Can he alleviate any of this concern with this offense pending a return for Kyler Murray? I guess that's where we start today on a Monday.
Yeah, it's tough, right? As we start to transition from beating up on a defense that wasn't able to get off the field to an offense that hasn't performed for a couple of weeks. So if it's not one thing, it's another for this team. But that's what you're dealing with when there's such a talent disparity with a rebuilt roster, a roster that's at the beginning of a rebuild. So it's concerning. We heard from Jonathan Gannon today, Johnny, and there are a couple nuggets out of the press conference. One, the Keitrell Clark situation, didn't find himself onto the playing field, and everybody kind of saw leading up to the game. He landed on the injury report earlier last week and was limited in practice. And then there were reports that he wasn't feeling great, but Jonathan Gannon said no, he was healthy. So we'll have to see what the 6th-round rookie out of Louisville, if he's just falling out of favor, or Starling Thomas has just outplayed him in Marco Wilson. So it's one thing to follow. And then the debut of Garrett Williams. Let's talk about something positive. The debut of Garrett Williams looks even better when you look at the next level analytics and statistics.
Should I just match my co-host here? Should we go twinsies on a Monday? And a couple Southwest bias bros.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of positives, but here's the issue at hand is I always knew at some point the defense was going to figure it out because their head coach is a defensive savant, right? We knew Nick Rallis, highly touted, Jonathan Gannon kicking ass and taking names in Philadelphia. Like, I think anybody that understands football and personnel and philosophy knew that the Cardinals were losing games with their defense struggling because of personnel, right? And so as their personnel got better, you get Budda Baker back, Garrett Williams plays, Zaven Collins is ascending. We're going to talk about that later on. Like, the arrow is trending up. Easy to see why. Shit, give this team a ton of assets and draft capital this spring. Like, I expect the defense to continue to get better. The issue now offensively is Drew Petzing has basically laid an egg for 3 straight games with Joshua Dobbs. And it can be twofold. It can be, well, Joshua Dobbs is regressing, can't overcome the injury to James Conner, or it can be, Drew Petzing's left a little bit on the bone, left a little bit to be desired offensively. So I do feel like the defense, very similar. When you hire a defensive head coach, you have to get the quarterback right. And that's what is really going to take over the next 2 to 3 months of this regular season into this offseason. It's going to dictate everything. If you're Andy Reid, fair or not, you can go get an Alex Smith. You can trust that he knows what he's doing offensively. You can never trust that with Cliff Kingsbury, but a proven offensive head coach, get the quarterback right. Defensively, or a neutral head coach, not specialized like a John Harbaugh, who's a special teams coach, or a Mike Tomlin, you got to make sure you're set at the position. And that's why, again, I got a piece coming out later this week on PHNX Sports about this. That's why the rest of the season has to be about clarity with Kyler Murray, clarity at the quarterback situation, because like this offseason, we're going to have a blast. There's going to be so many moving parts. This roster is going to be unrecognizable. But man, oh man, we'll remember Sundays like this, 20-10, offense inept, can't complete passes. And it's like, what are they going to do at quarterback? So that, I mean, the push comes to shove, this Kyler Murray clock, it's ticking. We got to see K1 on the field. I know that they get a good sense of it in practice, but trial by fire, if he's cleared and he's healthy and he's ready to go, I get it. Baltimore is elite. Cleveland's got a great defense. But man, at the end of the day, I don't know how many more weeks we can watch this offensively.
I'll say 2. I'm gonna put a ceiling on it, 2.
Yeah.
Max 2, and then Atlanta. That's got to be the date that, without a shadow of doubt, like you got to put him back out there. You got to deploy Kyler Murray at the latest, right? And Cleveland, it doesn't seem like the best, most conducive spot for a player to come back from injury, go out there, play on that grass, play against Myles Garrett potentially a week from Sunday. So
yeah,
it's really going to be, and then when you're looking at it, like week 10, and you've got a bye week mixed in there. So what you've got 7 games of Kyler Murray to figure it out. And I'm curious, like we're talking a lot in hypotheticals here. We talked yesterday a lot about it as well, as like, how Kyler Murray can impact, where they stand right now with their own pick, second overall. If they're staring down second overall in the offseason, do they pivot? Do they move to a guy like Drake Maye? And can kind of piggyback on that, like, could that potentially cause a rift? Like, because everything we've seen, like Jonathan Gannon is all in on Kyler Murray. He really likes Kyler Murray. Monti Ossenfort clearly has a type as far as what type of quarterback he likes. Do you think that there could be kind of something that could shake this unified front between Monti Ossenfort and Jonathan Gannon as far as their thoughts on the franchise quarterback?
It's a great question. And I don't want to give too much away from what I recorded that's going to debut later this week, but it dives into this. And it basically, it is, you have to remove the emotion out of it. Because like we know definitively, Bo, Gannon and Kyler Murray are bros. They have been connected over these last 6 to 8 months. They've been on the same page. They're like-minded. But to your point that you always make is that Gannon can be your best supporter, but you got to go out there and prove it on the field. And Jonathan Gannon, fair or not, was not here. Monti Ossenfort was not here in 2021 when Kyler Murray was an MVP candidate. I think similar situation, not apples to oranges. I mean, Carson Wentz was a phenomenal talent in Philadelphia. He had a major injury. He rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Kyler Murray has ingratiated himself, and that's why I think it's going to end up better than Kyler Murray. But what happened in Philadelphia? They drafted somebody else, and in part because cheaper, healthier, younger option. I think it's very much going to be, where are the Cardinals picking? Can Kyler Murray vault them out of the top 3? Like, we're going to talk draft today and draft positioning, and it sucks, but it's great at the same time. Marvin Harrison Jr. be a fantastic addition. Kyler Murray's goal, just like Jonathan Gannon's, to get up out of that scenario. You think Kyler Murray wants to be in a position December, January where this team's got a top 3 pick? Because I'm going to tell you right now, everything is going to be labeled when, not if, the Cardinals will move off Kyler Murray. What's going to go on? Oh, you got Monti Ossenfort in Chapel Hill at UNC's Pro Day. What's happening there? You got to leave, no doubt. Fair or not, if he comes back against Atlanta, what is that? Is that 7 games? Is that 8 games? To empty the clip, for lack of a better term, and get this team 3 wins? I think you and I talked about it in the postgame yesterday. 3 wins probably get you out of the Drake Maye, Caleb Williams sweepstakes. And it's unfair. Kyler Murray starts this season with this team, and he's healthy. They're at like 3 or 4 wins now. We're not even talking about this.
Right.
This is not 2022's draft with Kenny Pickett and just a bunch of busts in 2021. This is a generational quarterback class. You don't think, like, Ossenfort, to turn his back on that and completely dismiss it like this would be going against everything that we love about him. You got to be able to keep your options open. If they finish this season and they're in a position to draft one of these 2 quarterbacks, like, I'm going to need to be convinced that they won't do it. I wouldn't do it. I love Kyler Murray, but cheap rookie quarterback, generational, 6'4", Drake Maye or Caleb Williams, the next greatest thing since Andrew Luck and Trevor Lawrence. Like, here's the last thing I'm going to say about this, because it's very touch and go. And it's like, that's why this season is so dynamic, is we've got layers to it now. Like, a 1-6 team has never had this many layers. And as we're approaching November, Monti Ossenfort will sit down with Jonathan Gannon and say, okay, hypothetically, we keep Kyler Murray. What happens if Kyler Murray gets hurt next year and we passed on 2 guys? Then it becomes a situation where if you're talking to Michael Bidwell and you're not winning games, you don't have an out clause. Oh, well, Drake Maye's a rookie. We don't need to win games this year. We're good. We're developing them on the fly. You have expectations, and rightfully so, bringing back Kyler Murray with a $52 million cap hit next year. So you got to decide right now in these next 10 plus games, 11 plus games, is he ready to go? Can he play for us? Great. Let's move forward. Or we need to reevaluate.
Well, I don't think anybody in this organization is going to accept 2 straight years of losing like this. Like, I think that they'll raise their own expectations. I think they're falling short of their own expectations even now. But I think that what that looks like, right? If they move forward with Kyler Murray, most likely it's like Kyler Murray. You maybe bring back Joshua Dobbs to compete for your backup spot. You hope that Clayton Tune just outright wins it, right? And with a little bit more seasoning, he's his backup going forward, and you've got a really dirt cheap contract for the next 3 seasons after this year with Clayton Tune, and that's a good scenario. let's play BetMGM odds maker right now. As we stand right now, as Kyler Murray's all he's done is return to practice, and we're going to preview whether or not Baltimore, like, is that possible? Is there any chance that he comes back? But I want to talk more about what are the odds as of right now, as of October 23rd, 2023, that Kyler Murray is the starting quarterback for this organization beyond 2023.
You're asking me that?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think they're going to win another game until he comes back. And then you're going to ask him to put on the Superman cape. Like, I don't mean to give this a bunch of preamble bullshit. We talked about this for 6 months this offseason. You could not envision a worse scenario. You couldn't make him come and save the day again.
There is a worse scenario. There is a worse one.
What's a worse scenario?
One, if they move forward with Colt McCoy, and then two, if they were winless, if they didn't have any wins and they were staring down a winless season.
We're 1-8. If he comes back against Atlanta and they're 1-8, I'm not rooting for that, but I'm like, look at the teams they play. If they're 1-8 and he comes back and he's got 8 games to figure it out, I would say I hope Kyler Murray can win them at least 4 of those games. Chicago, Houston, there's some winnable games on there. But I'm gonna go 50-50, man.
Wow.
Because right now, with the state of this roster, like this offense. And I'm going to go in on Drew Petzing a little bit later on in the show, is so run dependent. And they have failed this regime right now with not like, you got to have the car tuned up for Kyler Murray or Joshua Dobbs. Car's missing a couple wheels right now because you dicked around and you didn't add a running back. This offense right now, go look at San Francisco. Even when they lose Christian McCaffrey, they got somebody else that can be a 20 to 25 guy, per carry. They do the same thing with Mike McDaniel. They do the same thing in Green Bay with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. Like, that's what the Cardinals offense is. That's not disputable. They're running the Shanahan offense on first and second down. You came into the season with James Conner, knowing his history, and decided not to add talent at running back, knowing Kyler Murray was not going to be ready for the season. That was completely irresponsible. So now you're in a scenario in which Dobbs and an undrafted free agent starting at running back for you. Kyler has to come back to save the day in the draft position, and we don't know what the status is of James Conner. I think defensively, again, Gannon's running the show. I feel good about that. It's 50-50 right now if they can put up points the rest of this year, given what I've seen on the table after 7 games.
Man, I think 50-50, that's way too much of a coin flip scenario where I think, obviously with his name signed on the dotted line as far as the $230.5 million contract, and as far as what he's done and the goodwill he's kind of earned throughout this rehab process and just getting to know Jonathan Gannon and what we've seen from Kyler Murray before, the injury. I know that he was playing his worst ball of his career, but before that, I mean, this was a 2-time Pro Bowler. This is the offensive rookie of the year. I mean, there's enough tape out there that's to get you excited about moving forward with him at the position. I'm going to go way off that. I think it's more like 80-20. Like, I really do. I don't think.
I hope you're right.
I feel like this is kind of when we're like, was it after the Giants loss, after they kind of collapsed in the second half, and I had to kind of talk you off the ledge and tell you that this was going to be a team that wasn't going to go winless in 2023, and you just weren't willing to admit that, at least that part to be true. I feel like this 50-50, man. I mean, that is just way too large of odds to say that he's going to get a one-way ticket out of town.
Okay, so they won 4 games last year with more talent and worse coaching. This year they have less talent, better coaching. The second hardest schedule remaining, they have 1 win. So, like, I think right now, because you and I are on the same page, I feel like, and you can speak for yourself on this. Like,
yeah,
it's hard for me to envision a scenario in which they do not take one of the 2 quarterbacks if they're picking 1-2. And I love Marvin Harrison Jr. I would do that. But if they're picking 1-2, I would envision Marvin Harrison goes 3 to somebody else. The Cardinals will take Caleb Williams or Drake Maye. That's kind of the sense I'm getting from people in the know, that they wanted to work with Kyler Murray. To your point, it's a non-issue if Kyler Murray comes back and wins them games, but it's also asking a lot. Kyler, hey, this state of this team is the second worst in the NFL right now. Can you get us a couple dubs and push us out of this? Otherwise, you're going to get replaced. I mean, it's an unprecedented situation. A guy signs a contract tears his ACL, the franchise implodes, everybody's fired, new people are involved, and he comes back midseason the next year. Like that, to me, it's completely unheard of. And that's why everybody needs to be open-minded of the cold, hard reality of cheap, expendable, dispendable quarterbacks to come in and take over. Because again, at the end of the day, you want to be saddled with the guy that you drafted, you signed, you extended, whatever. And the moment that they commit to Kyler Murray is the moment that their careers are interwoven with his.
Yeah.
So they have to have irreplaceable, irredisputable proof that Kyler Murray is the guy to lead this team. I mean, if they're, I know Britton Golden on our post-game show yesterday put it well. Like, if Kyler Murray balls out and they could still lose games, I think that there's a very small chance of that happening. Like, if Kyler Murray is putting up 3 to 4 touchdowns a game, like, they're going to win games, right? But you said it. If it's Josh Dobbs-esque, then we're going to have a problem, especially at $52 million.
Well, I think that's where it makes the decision easy, right? If he comes back and this offense can't move the football, it can't score points, can't even muster up a field goal in the second half of a game, and they're averaging, I think at 4.2 points per second half. If they're just allergic to points in the second half of games, and they're not turning, 3 turnovers, and they turned them into 3 points yesterday, Johnny. If that's the offense, the same under Kyler Murray, if it's the status quo, then your decision becomes easier. But I think he's going to make it a lot tougher, right? And the biggest thing was if he kind of creates a little bit of indifference, right? If it's like, oh well, he played good this week, and then the next week he wasn't that great, and it's this uneven performance, which is very realistic. I mean, learning a new offense, do completely different style of football, more under center, more run heavy. A lot different concepts than what he's been used to just his entire football career. And then coming off of this injury, I mean, there's so many variables that go into it that can, deter him from being the guy that we know he can be. And a 7-game stretch, just like Deshaun Watson, I think there was still a ton of question marks, just in the sample size from him coming back last year after missing the time he did, different reasons, right? But I think that that would be worst case scenario, where it's like where the jury's still out on this. You hope that Kyler Murray comes back and at least shows you, okay, we're okay at this position, and we can get real creative with what we're gonna do with our draft capital this year. Like we can stick with him, we can move forward. It matches up with what we saw during the rehab process ever since Monti Ossenfort stepped in the door, ever since Jonathan Gannon stepped in the door. I think they really like him. And I think that he's got their attention and he's got it in the right way. And now all he has to do is back it up with his play. And that's why I take it off way off the 50-50, and I trend it way in the favor of Kyler Murray staying with the Arizona Cardinals. And it's just barring catastrophic play on the field or Dobbs-esque backup caliber quarterback play on the field that would keep him or that would send him out of the desert. I mean,
see, that's where you and I are going to disagree, because I think it's all about wins and losses, and that's completely unfair. But if you're in a position,
so Monti Ossenfort, Jonathan Gannon, the Cardinals organization this season is punting on, a season where they're basically judged by wins and losses, but one guy they're going to judge Kyler Murray off it. That seems a little bit unfair.
I'm not telling you it's fair. I'm telling you that's, in my opinion, that's the reality of the situation, given the quarterback class in 2024. If this was any other year, I would say mulligan, do what you got to do. Doesn't matter. Let's see some positives, right? Jimmy Garoppolo-esque when he got traded to the Niners. Remember, he went 5-0, but they built around him, right? To me, if Drake Maye and Caleb Williams weren't in this class, and it's Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, and Anthony Richardson, like, we're not even talking about this. We're not having this conversation. Caleb Williams and Drake Maye.
Who gives you the best chance to win in 2024 of the 3 guys? Let's just take those 3 guys.
Of course, Kyler Murray does.
One guy just lost to a one-win Virginia. He couldn't elevate North Carolina's talent. I mean, you have told talk about talent disparity.
Every time we have to eat a big shit sandwich with this rebuild, you have said the rebuild is not for the faint of heart. Taking a quarterback is on par with the rebuild, because you're setting yourself up for 5+ years of cheap labor to bolster this roster. And Kyler Murray's got a $52 million price tag.
Else are they? Here's the difference, though. Who else are they paying? Like what? Who's close to an extension on this team?
Are you telling me right now that this team is in a position not to spend in free agency, not to go out and add
I mean,
pieces up front on both
they
lines of
will, but
scrimmage?
I mean, we saw with Chicago, it's like you couldn't spend it. Like
Well, if you
they were
spend
picking
it
up friends tabs
wisely,
at the bar and they couldn't, reach
you
that
got. I mean,
number.
it's don't act like the rookie quarterback wage scale is not the effing cheat code in the NFL when you hit on the
Sure.
guy like that. Joe Burrow went to a Super Bowl based on that. Jalen Hurts went to a Super Bowl based on that. Patrick Mahomes, his first Super Bowl, like that's what you want to do. You want to be able to go out and spend and do what you got to do. Trade future draft picks for star players. Go get a Tyreek Hill to support Tua. Maybe trade for a Justin Jefferson down the line if he gets irritable in Minnesota. Like that's what that allows you to do. If you have to be 100% convicted in your thought process, Kyler Murray's coming back, $52 million. That's your one that we can build around him and put him you have to be able to put a Super Bowl contending team on the field because that's the goal right now. It's not to make a wild card or once every 10 years win the NFC West and put a faux banner up at State Farm Stadium. It's to win this franchise a Super Bowl. So you better have an outline, a plan in place of how you're going to do that with Kyler Murray making $52 million. And if you've got a plan that you believe in, hell yeah, execute on that. But what I'm saying is the margin for error cranks up. And I know he eliminates a ton of stuff on Sunday, but you got to hit on all your picks, which Steve Keim did not. And the money that you do have, you got to go out and not sign, the Darius Philons of the world and Jordan Phillips. You got to go out there. Darius Philon too. He never played a snap for this team. And then you got to go out and you got to find the next Kazir White and the next Will Hernandez. So it is not a problem that I envy because I would keep Kyler Murray because he's the greatest homegrown franchise quarterback this team has ever had. I'm just trying to respectfully and responsibly prepare you and our audience for very difficult conversations that are being had behind the scenes, especially if we fast forward to January and this team has a top 2 to 3 pick. It's going to be very uncomfortable. If they're out of it, great.
What you're setting up and is you're preparing, and I don't think a lot of people had the benefit. Like it's just the people that read the books for the Red Wedding. Like that's exactly like the shock. Like if Kyler Murray comes back and he's just like he plays well, right? But they don't win football games. Like
Monty, why do you have your chain link armor on right now? I thought we were eating dinner together.
He's a killer.
Oh no,
Jonathan.
I've been traded to Cleveland. Oh no, I've got to go to Washington tomorrow. What? That's the Red Wedding.
And that's another variable too. It's just like you have to make damn sure that he's not the guy because, like I said, they're not going to have the ability to spend all that cap space. Like, and he's still going to impact the cap in 2024. Like whether it's the 46.1 million that's in dead cap space or the 50 million that counts against the cap in his first year of his huge extension that he signed, $230.5 million. But like, to my point, like, who's spending money on? Like, where's all this money going? Like, there's no in-house extensions.
I think that's premature. I think you just they could have spent money on guys to help this team this year.
You're not extending Marco Wilson. You're not extending like Zaven Collins, even if you pick up his 5th year option and you go to negotiating. Like, who's going to make a ton of money off of this team? I don't see anybody right now. I mean, that plays into it. Like, Kyler Murray gives them the best chance in 2024 to win, right? And like, if you're going to pivot off of him, then you're asking ownership for one more year, because what have we seen from this rookie class where, Carolina, they trade a Hall to get up to number 1 and they haven't won a football game. And Scott Fritter is probably going to have his ass fired this year after that move.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as like the betting on a rookie quarterback and having the pressure of winning in that season, it's not that great. Like CJ Stroud has shown like he can elevate a roster a little bit, but like when was the last rookie to do that?
Just take emotion out of it, and you're Monti Ossenfort, and you're Drew Petzing, and you have a type at quarterback, and say, okay, you can spend a premium pick on a blue chip quarterback that comes around every 5-7 years, and he's exactly your type, and he's cheap, and he buys you more time. Or you can go with the guy in-house that's more expensive, that's been hurt, but is incredibly dynamic. It's a roll of the dice on what you're going to get. It's in my opinion, it's an impossible decision that they're going to have to make if they're put in that
I just
position.
don't see it as that impossible. I look at the success that Philly's had, and I look at the skill set from Jalen Hurts, and Kyler Murray, I think is a more talented passer, just naturally
I agree with
gifted,
that.
right? I think what Hurts has done, and where Hurts has the edge is competitiveness, his leadership, and I don't think Kyler Murray is that far off as far as the competitiveness, if not right on par. But I think Jonathan Gannon saw that play out in Philadelphia. I think Drew Petzing is very aware of what Hurts does and how he, his athleticism, his skill set, the conflict it does for a defense, and they're very attracted to it. And Philly was willing to pay Hurts that big number, and he's going to make more than Kyler Murray once his extension kicks in. They understand the market value of a quarterback, and if they just feel like they have the guy in house, it's not going to matter that there's a blue chip quarterback out there. Like this roster and going forward is in a really good spot to
100%.
deal with the cap hit that Kyler Murray has going forward. Where
listen,
Kyler, Steve Keim wasn't equipped to deal with that. It was just going to be kicking a can down the road, and it was just going to be mediocrity to below average play in roster building.
We're on the same page. They got to win games, and he's got to show some positive signs here, November and December. We believe he's going to do that. So I'm going to bring up the schedule here, Bo, because let's play a little hypothetical scenario, hypothetical hero here from Kyler Murray, hero ball. So Cardinals are 1-6 right now. They just dropped their 6th game of the year at Seattle. So let's just, you and I assume that Kyler Murray doesn't play against Baltimore this weekend. Still a chance, I'm being told. And then obviously not going to play against Cleveland. So hypothetically, he plays against the Atlanta Falcons on November 12th. Get your tickets now, Game Time app. This is going to be a hot ticket. 8 games left. Theoretically, you got to get to probably 4 wins to jump out of the top 2. I think we feel pretty good about that because the Cardinals, even if they tied a team with the same record, their strength of schedule is so damn hard, they will not have the tiebreaker. So I think 4 wins get you to at least the 3rd pick, Marvin Harrison, 4th pick, Joe Alt, the kid from Penn State, Jared Verse, whatever you want to do, but not the quarterback. We're trying to get away from the QBs. If Kyler Murray, stay away from us. So hypothetically, you're looking at this schedule. How many more wins starting on November 12th for this team, Kyler Murray under center? Don't laugh. This is serious.
Look,
this is serious shit.
It's tough. I understand that, especially to a lot of people saying in the chat, just a depleted roster overall, right?
Yeah.
But I think week 10 immediately at home, just the vibes will be immaculate in State Farm Stadium, and you see Atlanta's not like world beaters by any stretch, right? And I think that those 4 games right there, you realistically could get 2 wins. Don't you think? I mean, whether it's Atlanta, whether it's Houston, whether it's LA, or whether it's the Pittsburgh Steelers, who, I know they're figuring it out a little bit on offense, but and that defense is ferocious. But I think that those are winnable football games, all 4 of them. But with the roster in the state right now, what's realistic for this team, I think they could pull 2 of those games out, and they would be a 3-win team by the end of that 4-game stretch, with the Bears looming on Christmas Eve.
I'm with you. I think they get to 4 wins, and I think that this is a moot point come January. And I think they have the press conference, and
so will you change your 50-50 right now? For the
if
audience?
you're asking me right now, I would say that I'll lean on the side of the 50 to 51% that he's their quarterback. But I am telling you right now, I feel confident if shit goes down and they win 3 or less games, we're sitting here in January and they've got 3 wins. Start booking your ticket to Chapel Hill and Southern California, USC's campus. We're going to send Bo to all those pro days. Who's going to be there? Monti Ossenfort is going to be there. Does anybody think that that's not going to happen? Nobody can tell me with a straight face right now on this podcast, if this team ends up with a top 2 pick, that's not going to happen.
But you're telling our audience right now that you're just taking a coin, flipping it in the air like the opening kickoff, taking a look.
I love this.
Moving off Kyler Murray,
almost on par with my children. They have won 5 games in the last almost 30 attempts, and you want me to go out there and pick them to win a bunch of games in the second half of the season? I gotta see it, because you know what I'm looking at right now? An offensive line that's ass on the left side, a front 7 that has no quality defensive tackles, and an offensive coordinator that's starting to show cracks in the foundation. Nobody will be more happier than me. I'll do cartwheels if they win 4 or 5 games in the second half of the season. Like, can we call a spade here? They haven't done a lot of winning in the past 2 years. So I'm not going to sit here and say, yeah, that's a win, and that's a win, and that's a win.
Flip the coin, Johnny. Tell me what it comes up. Are they keeping them or are they getting rid of them? What does it say right now?
They're going to keep them. God damn you. All right, listen.
What is
it? A lot of stuff's going on. Diamondbacks are trying to close it out. You absolutely love to see that. I hope you guys live bet the Diamondbacks like I did. Money line. I didn't live bet them today, though. I live bet them the other day, and it cashed out. I did some dabbling with our friends at DraftKings, Brack. You know what a boost is? A betting boost by chance? It's when you make a bet and then they give you a little boost in the old plus minus there. Boosted odds makes you more money. They do that like Christmas morning. And I'm going to help you out right now because I'm Johnny Santa. Bonus code PHNX is going to get you $200 in bonus bucks instantly. $5. PHNX. Promo code $200 in bonus bets instantly. No better place. DraftKings. Go get $200 in bonus bets. Put a 5 spot on there. Then boost your odds. Hell yeah. Because it looks like right now we are poised. I'm not gonna say it because I don't want to jinx it, but I'm gonna tell you right now. Here's something you can't jinx. It's a call to action. Get in.
Talking about the best 2 words in sports? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, but I can't say it yet.
Okay.
I can't say it yet because I immediately get fired if something happened poorly. Use that bonus code PHNX. New customers can score $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's bonus code PHNX on DraftKings, official sports betting partner of the NFL. The crown is yours. You got a gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problems. Gambling problem, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort. Licensed partner Golden Nugget, Lake Charles, 21 plus. Age varies by jurisdiction. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after they issue.
Producer Jacob broke into a sweat when I said the best 2 words in sports, but of course I meant opening night. And that's the Phoenix Suns tomorrow night. It's opening night. They tip off the season against the Golden State Warriors, and your spot to watch Phoenix Suns games for 70 tilts in contests throughout the season is Arizona's Family. It's your new TV home for the Phoenix Suns. 70 plus games right in your living room. Thanks to our friends over at Arizona Family 3 TV and Arizona Family Sports. Do not miss any of the action. All you need are those rabbit ears, those bunny ears, those antennas, many options available at local retailers, online, indoor, outdoor varieties, and one for every price point. With an antenna over the air, use channel 3. Of course, you can use channel 3.5 or channel 44 here in the Phoenix area. If you have Cox Cable, you can tune into channel 13. If you can't support your Phoenix Suns courtside, do it couchside, wherever you live in Arizona. Visit azfamily.com. Click Suns Games for listing information in your area. Great resource to help you find the Phoenix Suns games on Arizona Family Sports. Can't wait to see our boys and gals, Lindsey Smith, Espo, Saul. You've got, of course, Flex and Gerald. Can't wait to hear them break down, preview this season tomorrow here on PHNX Sports as well.
I love you all in the chat saying it's one of my worst takes of all time. Johnny, you don't know what you're talking about. Listen, that's why this podcast is for everybody, man. Speak your piece. Talk to us about what you believe could happen, what will happen with the Arizona Cardinals. Jalen Blair, $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Friend of the program. If it's hey, K1's got to come in here and win X amount of games to keep his job, and it's not, hey, we like you and we want you here, then they need to move on. I think they feel good about if Kyler Murray is their quarterback in 2024, but if they have an opportunity to take a guy in the top 2 next year, I don't know what you do in that scenario if you're Ossenfort and Gannon, other than like Gannon, respectfully, took this job, wasn't offered another job, interviewed with Houston, right? It's not like he got to pick his quarterback, although he said he was excited about Kyler Murray. I believe him. Ossenfort got this job after the Cardinals got turned down by the executive in Chicago, right? Wasn't poised to get another job.
Right there.
It was, absolutely. But what I'm saying is, if people are acting, well, they picked this job because of the options at quarterback. I think they took the job because they were excited to take the job. And then they were going to let the chips fall where they may. Like, they were ready to ingratiate Isaiah Simmons, and then Isaiah Simmons wasn't bought in, so they shipped his ass out of here, right? I just think that believe what they do, not what they say, right? And they talked to us about DeAndre Hopkins all offseason. What
Yeah,
happened?
but
They cut his
the
ass.
Simmons stuff was different. It
Yeah,
really was. I mean, he still didn't show like where he could make his impact on down-to-down basis, like any given Sunday. Like where Kyler Murray, he can impact the game. You absolutely know that. You know that Johnny, he's a franchise caliber quarterback. You
I
know that, right?
100% do. But that's not the question, though. The question is health and the price
Mhm.
tag. That's
Right.
it. That's it. If you're getting Kyler Murray, he's 100% healthy moving forward, and you don't know that with the two college kids. And Kyler was healthy in college.
You also have to Monty is a very level-headed guy, and he's always going like risk versus the reward and weighing the options as far as
Sure.
is it worth it, right? And there's a lot of risk in moving off of a guy who's established himself in this league before. And sure, there's you could call it red flags, or you can just call it question marks, that questions remaining, I guess, with the quarterback position and Kyler Murray. But like there are far more questions I think you could make the case for with a college prospect quarterback
I mean, he just
than Kyler Murray.
Drake Maye just lost to Virginia. And I don't love Drake Maye. You guys know that. Like Drake Maye bust, maybe a bust. I'm not into him. I'm not into Caleb Williams right now either. Like my preference is to keep
Drop
Kyler Murray.
back-to-back games. Yeah.
Right. I think Kyler Murray next year is way better than either of those individuals. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate as it relates to guys, if you finish a season and you have the first or second pick, and there are elite blue chip when's the last time in NFL history that it's happened where a team said, we're going to pass on an elite QB prospect, not a marginal first round QB prospect, but an elite quarterback prospect, and keep the guy in-house that, by the way, was drafted and signed by another regime? It doesn't happen. But it never happens. If Kyler was drafted by Ossenfort and extended by Ossenfort, we don't have to have this conversation. Just put out all the facts. If they finish with the top 2 pick, we're in trouble. We're in big trouble.
Chris Ramos has a fact right here. Johnny has posters of Caleb Williams and Drake Maye. It's confirmed. It's up in your office. Just show him. Just move your camera. Let's see him, Johnny.
I don't, but I do have this copy of Ghostbusters on VHS. It's almost the same thing. But no, I have a Boba Fett poster I'm looking at. It's almost Drake Maye. Drake Maye wishes he was Boba Fett. But no, I mean, I want this team to win games, so we don't have to talk about these quarterbacks. I would much rather welcome Joe Alt or Marvin Harrison Jr. as a member of the Arizona Cardinals.
Well, I saw in the chat, it might have been Arizona Animal or Jalen Blair. I can't remember way earlier. I mean, it's just as far as you pivot off the quarterback, and it's like you get, in your future at that position probably projects. It might project better than Kyler Murray. I don't know. I wouldn't say so, right? But maybe Caleb Williams. But where do you get better on your roster? And you don't.
But that speaks to the rebuild mindset that you've talked about for how many shows, where I'm pissed off. Where's Kareem Hunt to take the baton? You said, no, we can't give Kareem Hunt $2 million. This is a rebuild, Johnny. This is a rebuild. Okay, then that's a rebuild move. Your season sucks. You've torn it down to the studs, and you've got the first or second pick in the draft. You know what an NFL franchise does? They fucking take a quarterback.
But they usually don't have an in-house option. They usually don't have an in-house option.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why the
majority of those cases that's it's a situation that really kind of changes things.
But Juror's asking me a question. Answer this, Johnny. Your hypothetical only works if Kyler doesn't win a single game. So you think he isn't going to win when he comes back? I think my situation is he's got to win enough games to put them out of position to take Caleb Williams or Drake Maye. And we've established we feel like 3 games was enough to do it. It's not fair to Kyler Murray. And maybe there's a small percentage where he's got like a 2-to-1, 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. His completion percentage is 68 to 70. And this defense falls off. And they're giving up 30 points a game. And then they're just like, we're not even going to sweat it. He's our guy. We're going to trade the pick. I guess that's possible. But I actually think the defense is going to play better as the season goes on. They get more players back. They're buying into Gannon. I think they feel more comfortable. I hate putting it like this, Bo. It really is all on Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray has to force the issue. It's like if you're part of an organization and they get bought outright, and you've got a performance review before Christmas, and you got to sell X amount of products because your leadership's coming in, whether or not they're going to invest in you long term. Like your contract's going to get renewed, or you're done. So you better get on the phones and start selling. Like that's why I'm sure Kyler Murray would love to play against the Ravens, or would love to play potentially against PJ Walker and the Cleveland Browns. You see Gardner Minshew go for 4 touchdowns. I can do that against the Cleveland Browns. If I'm Kyler Murray, and we know this to be true, I'm trying to get back because Josh Dobbs, God love him, that we've hit a ceiling. Our head has gone through the ceiling, and it's not pretty. The house is on fire.
No, our head, we're in the hospital because we hit our head on the ceiling, and we could have a concussion. I mean, pour Kyler Murray a cup of coffee, because coffee's for closers in the sales game. He's going to close this thing out. Absolutely. Right.
I wanted to.
He's going to sell a lady in white gloves, catch a popsicle. That's what he's going to do. That's the type of salesman he is on the field. So he's just got to prove it. He absolutely does. And we've got to figure out, when that's going to happen. And, it makes things a little bit more challenging, if he comes back in week 10, and it looks like, all signs are pointing to week 10 against the Atlanta Falcons at home, more so than week 8 against the Baltimore Ravens, even though he's going to push as hard as he can this week in the 3 opportunities he's getting on the practice field. And then, I'm sure he's going to push, against Cleveland, where it just seems like Cleveland just doesn't seem like the best scenario for Kyler Murray to get out there. But I agree with you, what you said about the defense. Like with Budda Baker in this lineup, this defense has given up 20 points per game. They gave up 20 to Washington, and that was a product of the offense putting them on a short field. I thought the defense had their best performance probably the entire season in week 1 against Washington, and Budda Baker was in there. And then they played really well, I think, against Seattle yesterday. Budda Baker just happened to be back in the lineup. In the 2 performances where they've really had, outlier performances, Budda Baker's been in there. He's a difference maker. And I like, as long as he can stay healthy, this defense trending in the right direction. And I really like what I saw from Garrett Williams too. He was targeted 4 times. He only gave up 2 completions. He got the pick. He had 2 solo tackles. His 2 tackles weren't, combined tackles. He was, kind of on an island. He took down ball carriers.
Let's just do a quick congrats to the Arizona Diamondbacks forcing a Game 7 in the National League Championship Series. Hell yeah. Check out PHNX D-backs after our show wraps up. I'm with you. I'm going to tell you right now, this defense is so starved for talent, but they're already overachieving in my mind. I know we had a couple hiccups against San Francisco. Second half against some teams has not been good. That was the first time since early this season where it's like second half adjustments. The Cardinals got better, giving up 2 field goals against a team that really I thought was lucky to have as many points as they did with did he score a touchdown from Geno Smith Bobo. So again, like no concerns about this defense. Like, can you imagine this defense add a couple premium picks on the defensive line, get a cornerback 1, spend some money in free agency? Like to me, like this is going to be a unit, and I'm not overreacting to one game. Like it's clear you add players of quality to Gannon's situation, to Gannon's base, and they produce. Like go ask the Denver Broncos. I know they won yesterday. Like they felt like they've got a great stable of defenders in Denver. And look what Vance Joseph, they butchered. It's like you butchered my boy. They butchered the personnel. I never have to worry with defensive personnel about Jonathan Gannon and misusing them. And that brings us to trending up, trending down, because it's highlighted. I'm going to start with trending up this week, if we could, because I want to talk about an individual on trending up that I've kind of poo-pooed a little bit, Brack. And let me pull it up here. Johnny's trending up. There it is. All right. So I'm going to talk about Kyler Murray in a second. Let's talk about Zaven Collins. Zaven Collins has gotten better each of the last 5 weeks. I put it on Twitter. His PFF rating, you guys ready for this? As it relates to his production. And I was saying, I'm not so sure. Things are kind of hit and miss with Zaven Collins. Zaven Collins went from week 3, 51, week 4, 52, week 5, 65. This is a full-time player. This is not a part-time player. Week 6, 71, week 7 yesterday, 86.8 with a pass rush grade over 80. And he's on pace for 8.5 sacks this year. That could go up. I'm going to tell you right now, one of the most welcome developments for this team is if Zaven Collins becomes just a good starter. That 5th-year option picked up, nice extension one day. The Cardinals, I don't think it's a coincidence. Obviously, Budda Baker playing helped elevate this team. Zaven Collins, what he did against the run yesterday, I think number 25 has turned the corner as a not a pass rusher specialist, as an every down defensive end, because he's got Jonathan Gannon, Nick Ross coaching him. So he's my number one trending up this week. I'm fired up for him. And again, 7 weeks and he's looking like right now the best edge rusher, at least statistically, on the team. How about Garrett Williams? You touched on him earlier. It's great to see 21 in a Cardinal uniform snatching up interceptions. We talked about Keitrell Clark potentially trending down, not playing at all on defense. I mean, is that a testament to the depth now they had, led by Garrett Williams? I mean, Garrett Williams is going to be put into a defensive back school. Budda Baker, Jalen Thompson, Jonathan Gannon. I mean, this kid, if anything is to give us an indication, his interception yesterday, turning around and snatching that interception, wasn't right to him. It wasn't the Kazir White drop it in the middle of his gut and not run with it. Really excited with what I've seen. And again, young players. And then one of my highest trending ups this week, I do think Kyler Murray is trending up by default. Joshua Dobbs does not look good. People are wanting Kyler Murray to come back. He had a phenomenal week of practice last week. He is trending up. Let's get him on the field. Let's see what he can do, because people are excited to see him in this offense, because there are plays to be made that Josh Dobbs is not making. So Kyler Murray trending up for me this week. I hope he plays this weekend.
Yeah, and Garrett Williams, I mean, primarily played the slot, right? 22 of his 26 snaps were in the slot. He played 3 snaps in the box, and then you had 1 outside corner. Like, maybe we'll start to see him play a little of that position with JT trending in the right direction, and poised to return. He wasn't placed on IR, so like you would imagine he's going to be coming back well before what would have been 4 weeks that kept him out of the lineup. So, could Garrett Williams really help this team play some outside corner, because that's where they've gotten poor performances across the board. Let's take a look at where I'm trending up on this Arizona Cardinals team. Johnny, are you going to pull this one up for me? Emari Demercado. I liked what I saw from him. I mean, obviously, it's not the game-changing back that you get from James Conner, but he's filled in admirably as he got the full kind of line share of the carries yesterday and averaged 4.5 yards per carry, toting the rock. He had 75 yards from the line of scrimmage, and that's all you can ask for from an undrafted rookie free agent. I really like what I saw from Emari Demercado. Continuing to trend up is Dennis Gardeck, 5 tackles, 2 hurries, and a fumble recovery. Another day at the office for Gardeck, the Barbarian. Love to see it, how he's performed this season. Made the play, the hurries coming off the edge and then recovering that fumble on teams. I mean, the guy's doing it all for you. Like, can you name another edge rusher that plays a huge role on special teams for any other NFL roster? I don't think you can. That's why Dennis Gardeck is back trending up for me. And then Budda Baker, as I pointed out just before, I mean, this defense is just giving up and allowing 20 points per game with Budda Baker in the lineup, giving up over 28 and a half with Budda Baker out of the lineup. That's why this Budda Baker is trending up. Had a solid return to it. PFF, not exactly going to be a PFF darling, but, he made his impact, and his impact was known just by how well the defense played and how they were able to kind of keep those gaudy pass numbers down, receiving numbers down from the Seahawks receivers and Geno Smith throwing the football.
I mean, the Cardinals, their pass rush, to me, it's a modern miracle. They're top 10 in the NFL, and they're doing it with guys that a lot of us thought were afterthoughts and cast-offs and conversion guys. Zaven Collins playing inside backer. Now he's rushing the passer. Gardeck, I would have cut him in the spring. He's been a super productive player. Again, like, I know it's tough right now in a 1-6 season, but Bo, things you've outlined, you can see where you start to infuse some talent. You get really excited. Before we get on to trending down, I want to remind everybody right now, Gila River Resorts and Casinos is one of our newest partners here, and we're so fired up to welcome them. Arizona's biggest and best resorts and casino. We had an opportunity to tour their sports book just last week. It is first class, phenomenal, absolutely fantastic. The people there are fantastic. Plus, how about this deal? $1 million Big Red Showdown at Gila River Resorts and Casinos, Wild Horse Pass, among other locations. Sign up, Gila River Resorts and Casinos, $1 million. Stay in the game and get rewards easy. Play fun free games online for a chance to win $1 million in cash. Weekly pick'ems up to $1,000 in free bonus play every single week. They've got monthly drawings. How about this one? Upcoming November 5th and December 3rd for Cardinal games, tickets, memorabilia. Big Cardinal supporters is Gila River. And again, you can win up to $100,000 in cash. Got to be 21 years and older. Visit Gila River, Gila $1 million showdown.com to get in on the action. For more information, Gila River Resorts and Casinos. All they have to offer, head to playatgila.com.
One thing we don't know about Kyler Murray when he's going to return, but we do know when he returns, his sneaker game, his cleat game is going to be tight. He's got some great signature shoes out there. Just dropped his one-of-one shoes out there. If you're into sneaks, if you're into the kicks, check out Soul Savvy. They've been around since 2018. Their mission has always been and stayed the same, to get sneakers into the hands of people who love them the most. Soul Savvy is a sneaker community that operates in Canada, US, and UK. 3 memberships. Got a couple different options here. You can do the basic, which is free. You can do the mobile plus, which is $12 a month, and the premium, which is $33 a month. The premium membership includes mobile plus features that you don't want to miss out on. You know, the casual sneaker buyers, the basic version. The mobile plus is kind of for the sneakerhead who's always on the go. And then the premium is just the sicko, right? The sneakerhead of all sneakerheads who's tired of, paying resale and find your, what you're looking for as far as your sneakers, your kicks. We love Soul Savvy. Get in on it. It's a brand new partnership that we're excited about. Sign up at Soul Savvy by visiting Soul Savvy, SOLE Savvy, SAVY.com/ALLCITY, or by downloading the Drops by Soul Savvy app.
Diamondbacks moving on. We're moving on to trending down. And again, these are guys that I'm not super high on right now with this franchise. Again, we're 7 weeks in. I won't be too critical, but I will be today. Trending down for the Arizona Cardinals. I think it's time to part ways with number 86. Zach Ertz, to me, pivotal drop yesterday. He's had multiple drops this year that have cost the Cardinals, not only in the win-loss column, but for our friends in Vegas, taking the Cardinals spread. I mean, it just... His drop yesterday, you got to pick up your quarterback. And at the end of the day, when you're making 8 figures and you're one of the highest paid players on the team, like you're being outproduced by Trey McBride. So I'm disappointed in Zach. But again, he's over 30. I think, if you can get I would almost take a 5th or a 6th rounder at this point. I know Buffalo lost the tight end today. He's the one guy I really think this team should and maybe will make available. I'll try to dig more information up in the coming weeks. But they use so much damn 2 tight end, Bo, that they might hang on to him just a little bit longer as they await Kyler Murray's return. So I don't want to.
They started getting Elijah Higgins some snaps for the first time in his NFL career. So obviously he didn't like the face mask that he got called for on teams, but he did get some offensive snaps. But this is a tough one because he's such a likable guy. What he really does in the locker room has been so important since he came here. He's been a big supporter and proponent of Kyler Murray, and you kind of were hoping that he could hold out and get back on track for when K1 returned, and just haven't seen it this season, unfortunately, outside of the touchdown reception. And I can't deny, direction that he's trending with your list here.
It's like same thing with Colt McCoy. It's like, love Colt McCoy, the person. He's been a stalwart, great ambassador for the Cardinal franchise. But I mean, when it goes fast. And for Ertz, he came back quickly after the ACL. I commend him for that, but you can't drop passes, can't drop touchdown passes. Drew Petzing, rough go of it. And again, like, I think a big part of that is my number 3 is the run game. But like, I put that on Drew Petzing. I put that on this organization. Like, you want to be
in the run game.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, this run game, DeMercado, your boy had 13 carries yesterday. That tells me that they don't feel comfortable giving him 20 to 25 touches. This offense needs a bell cow. And when James Conner leaves and you don't have a bell cow, somebody that can take hold of the offense and say, no, Josh Dobbs, you don't need to throw 33 times a game in a one possession game. I get it. If the Cardinals were down like 27-0, if it was the San Francisco game late and you have to throw, this is a one possession game. You should have dominated on the ground. You were running the ball effectively. They do not have the belief that anybody on this roster right now can touch the ball 20 to 25 times. That's their fault. You want to run this kind of offense, you got to have the personnel to do it. And I just don't like that, if DeMercado is averaging over almost 5 yards a carry, then Drew Petzing, give him the football. Like, I don't want to see Joshua Dobbs thrown on second down. Like, you needed to get ultra conservative. Joshua Dobbs now, put the kid gloves back on. Like, what we saw in San Francisco, that's over. Like, I don't know where that player went. I'm a big Joshua Dobbs fan. I think he's a great backup. But we've exceeded our net worth here with Joshua Dobbs. Like, there's nothing to rinse out of that paper towel anymore. Like, this is it. He is getting worse. So your number one thing to make a quarterback's job easier, emphasize the run game. DeMercado, Keontae Ingram, Damian Williams off the street should have had a combined like 30 to 35 touches yesterday. Rondale Moore mixing and matching, got away from the run game. Disappointed in Drew Petzing. No, he knows better because I saw it with James Conner. But if you're going to sit here and tell me, well, we don't have James Conner, then everybody's at fault for not going out and signing a back. Kareem Hunt's going to start in Cleveland this week.
Oh,
you want to bet me that he gets 20 to 25 touches? I bet he does.
Two starting running backs. I mean, it took Chubb going down and then Jerome Ford going down for him to get that opportunity. We'll see how he does, right? We'll see how he does. I disagree with that. You can't knock the run game with the committee that they had going into this and the performance that you've seen from 2 weeks. The last 2 weeks from them, like they haven't been like game changers, but I think that they've done well enough to where this offense should be operating a lot better than it has, and it's not on the run game. Let's see where I'm trending down, and I'm looking at primarily in the pass pro situation here. When I talk about the right side of the offensive line, I've loved this side of the line for this entire season. I love the bromance, the buddy cop duo between Will Hernandez and Paris Johnson Jr., who just had kind of a rough day up in Seattle. They just had a rough day where you saw that they gave up combined 7 pressures and a sack that one falls and a penalty, a sack and a penalty on the shoulders of Paris Johnson Jr., who I'm sure is going to get this one out and learn from this performance. And then you look into the middle of this and you saw, Yellow Froholt, who's been so solid throughout the season, but the bad snap, that was crushing yesterday. They get a big first down and then he snaps the ball basically over Joshua Dobbs' head and completely pulls the momentum out of the offense, his sails. And I thought he had a performance that, you really wanted to see something better from. And then, Victor, I've got Michael Wilson on my trending down list because I look at 3 weeks of very little production from the 3rd round pick that, coming off that huge breakout performance in San Francisco where he had a 2-touchdown day. Since then, he's got 7 catches for 107 yards. That's just not getting it done. And, I think, really, really good receivers will force the issue. And I'm sure there's a lot of issues coming from the trigger guy and the quarterback and Joshua Dobbs here. But, and you're seeing like Hollywood Brown, he suffers from that as well. But, I think we need to see more from Michael Wilson to kind of change the direction that he's trending. I'm not saying like these guys are trending down and they're lost for the season. Like I'm very confident that Paris Johnson Jr. is going to bounce back. Will Hernandez is going to bounce back and Yellow Froholt is going to bounce back. And so will Michael Wilson. I just think, if you're talking about if you press me on it and say, hey, what direction is Michael Wilson going? He's trending down after he was trending up, and up. And then it's gone down the last couple of weeks.
KR Gordon, neither of you have Dobbs on your trending down? I mean, like
he's been on there.
Kicking a dead horse. Yeah. He's been on there the last couple of weeks. I agree with Hanshot first. Michael Wilson, like he's got good speed, but like I think they just need to throw him the football because most of the time he catches the football when it comes his way and he's open even when it doesn't seem like he's open. Hence like jump balls and contested catches against San Francisco. I'm going to put that a little bit on Joshua Dobbs and Drew Petzing. Like Hollywood's open because Hollywood's hella fast, but like to me, it's like let Michael Wilson make a contested catch more often than not. So I this offense to me, it's just like it's kind of the worst reality because we knew that if and when James Conner went down, it was going to be tough.
It's not as bad as a run. It's not as bad as putting the run game on my trending down list.
The run game is trending down. It's not the same run game without James Conner. I mean, like yesterday's statistics were skewed because your quarterback had a QB keeper in the red zone. Like, come on now. I don't know. Listen, smart ass. Let me tell you something. I'm gonna tell everybody right now. What's trending up for me is my friends at Circle K, America's thirst stop. Join the inner circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. I hit up Circle K yesterday, paid not a premium price for premium gas. Went inside, got myself a fountain cold, ice cold Polar Pop. Buy one, get one free as a member of the Circle K. Exclusive, but not exclusive for you here through PHNX. Check out the show notes, sign up, visit circlek.com for more details. It's like beautiful fall weather coming. I'm going to do some hiking with my family and go out to all the fall festivals. I'm going to be traveling all throughout the great state of Arizona. And I'm not going to do it with an empty tank because I'm going to be loading up, fueling up with my friends at Circle K.
Snakes still alive, forcing a game 7. You got to pop over, check out our friends over at PHNX D-backs immediately after we get off air. And check out the PHNX locker for all the great gear that they got to support the Snakes as they continue their push throughout the postseason. Up next could be a World Series berth for this team. Check out all of our D-backs gear, plus our Cardinals gear in the PHNX locker, phnxlocker.com. Also become a diehard. Get full access to gophnx.com. All those great articles that Jesse Freeman is churning out about the Diamondbacks, Howard Balzer's churning out about the Cardinals, Gerald Bourguet's getting you ready for the Sun season that tips in about 24 hours, and Craig Morgan's taking you up on the upstart Phoenix or Arizona Coyotes. Check it all out. gophnx.com. Become a diehard today. It's been a fun day breaking down this team. When Kyler Murray could debut. Eris, how much longer is Connor out? He's out the next 2 weeks, at least on IR, but he should be ready to return against Atlanta when a certain franchise quarterback could be ready to return.
It's funny how that works out, right? Everybody do us a favor, like this video. Let's get it to 150 plus likes here to kick off on Monday. Banner Monday.
153 people in here. There's no excuse. Get it. You hit the like button. We get there immediately.
Wow, that's very aggressive. Brian Balding joins the show tomorrow at 4:30. Baldy breakdowns. What did he see from the defense that seemingly is looking to take a step forward? In the meantime, like this video, subscribe to PHNX Sports on YouTube. Pop over. Diamondbacks is about to go live. Congrats to the Snakes. Congrats to all of you helping us out, making us your #1 digital sports company in all the Phoenix land. For Bo Brack, I'm Johnny Venerable. We'll see you tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.